Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TED Talks Ball. I'm Ted. We're supposed to have Anshul Shah of the Shah Show, but I haven't heard from him. I hope everything's okay, and I'm hoping he'll still be able to join. But for now, I thought I would just come get on live and do it solo until we see or hear from Anshul and see what we do at that point. But hopefully, he'll be able to make it. But thanks everyone who showed up. I saw people in the chat. I'm just sort of retweeting and reposting stuff here, so pardon my distraction. But yeah, let's get to the folks that are here in the chat. Let me go ahead and take down this banner, hide that for now. And it's popping. So we got Red Jet Shell in the house. She's saying Niners. She says Zoom calls, emails, and Ted's podcast. LFG, LOL. Yeah, thank you, Red Jet. I appreciate everyone's patience. It seems like all my shows have been getting started late lately. This morning, I had technical difficulties with Chris Polo. Even once we supposedly got him solved, his audio was kind of repeating on him, but it wasn't terrible. And at least we were able to get through a show together. We got John Lajoie in the house. Welcome, John. And welcome coming from Anshul's channel. Feels a little weird streaming his channel when he's not here, but I know he's supposed to be, and hopefully he will be. If not, I may turn that off at some point during the show. But we'll see how that goes. Red Jet says she's ready. Got James Durnall here from the UK across the pond. He says they have the Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Ravens. The Bengals got off to a bad start. The Steelers beat them. Titans couldn't score in a brothel, and they lost to the Ravens. So I'm not sure exactly who he's talking about when he says they. Maybe he meant the Browns, I guess. The Browns, they got a good defense. But it sounds like there's some people that are going to be out for them. I just saw it on my bookmarks. I don't think I commented on it, so it's not on my timeline yet. But let me go find that. But it's looked like Deshaun Watson, as we already know from yesterday, had been ruled out. And then today there was a tweet that was basically saying that it looked like Joel Bitonio, who is their guard, who had a streak of 102 consecutive starts. He looks like he won't play. And tight end David Njoku that said is unlikely to play Sunday as well too. So that's more bad news for Browns fans or anyone wanting to have a competitive game. It's one thing to lose your quarterback, but when you lose your quarterback and a star guard and a pretty solid tight end, when the Browns are already sort of a little bit starved for good weapons to begin with, they have Amari Cooper, who's a great route runner, gets great separation. Donovan Peoples-Jones he's a pretty good wide receiver. He's not great, not bad, I would say. So that hurts the Browns a little bit, I would say. James says Ravens still have problems, and they still put 28 on them. They're coming off a bye, so the Browns don't pass the eye test for that number 1D. Interesting. So, I always say context is really important to consider when you're looking at statistics. And James is saying that the statistics of the Cleveland D being really good, and actually I think the Niners D is number 1D now anyway. But for a little while there, the Cleveland D was number 1. And so he's saying that the Cleveland D doesn't match his eye test. So that's interesting to hear. Got Alex Simpson in the house. He's saying, hey, welcome, Alec. Good to see you. Also from across the pond, a member of the 49ers Faithful UK and a member of Let's Talk Sports. I definitely want to give a RIP to Dan Harris, the founder of Let's Talk Sports. They are it's a YouTube channel, and it's also a DM group on Twitter where we all help promote each other's work. And Dan was the founder of all that. It's still moving on. I believe Tanner has taken over. He's a Chiefs fan, but sad to hear that Dan lost his battle with cancer this week, and so RIP to Dan Harris, who Alec and I both know. Really good guy, and a guy who brought a lot of us content creators together, not just in the 49ers fan base, but across a lot of fan bases, or almost all the fan bases across the NFL. Got Jimmy Perez in the house. He says, what's up, Ted? Happy Friday the 13th. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. And it's interesting that it's during Brocktober, when we have Halloween at the end of the month. Extra significance to Halloween this year is that it's the trade deadline for the NFL. So expect to see some moves being made between now and then, especially as you get closer, once teams know exactly what they'll need to contend, or if they're, once they realize that they're kind of throwing in the towel and they'll be sellers, should have more activity, both with teams trading players to their team and trading players away as well. And Nancy Cameron in the house saying hello, Ted. Thanks, Nancy. Great to see you. Hope you're having a great Friday. Danielle Thompson in the house. He says, Ted, is Randy Gregory playing? He's been practicing this week, so I assume that he is. It was just too quick of a turnaround for the Cowboys game. But everything I've heard and all my understanding is that Randy Gregory should play against the Browns in Cleveland. But I guess we'll see more as practice goes on. It'll be interesting to see the practice report today, because Dre Greenlaw missed yesterday with a hamstring. So I don't know if that's just precautionary or kind of just a quasi rest thing, or it doesn't. I don't recall that happening during the game. So maybe he got injured during practice this week. I mean, hammies can happen anytime when you're running hard. You can pull a hammy pretty easily. So perhaps that's what happened. I'm hoping it's just like the quasi rest day and they just called it a hammy so that other players didn't get jealous that he got a rest day, since he's not, as big of a vet as like Fred Warner or Trent Williams or CMC or some of the ones where you don't mind them getting a rest day. Alex Simpson says, big watch party in the UK, Joe Staley hosting, so we're hoping for a 50 burger. I think that's a little unrealistic, but I would love it. I hope we can score over 30 against the Browns. But here's some things to note about that game. One, the Browns, whether you want to, say that the context or the eye test doesn't fit for the Browns D, they're one of the top ranked Ds in the NFL, the defenses in the NFL this season. They may be the best defense that we face all year, including the playoffs. So that's one thing that'll make it tough for us to score a lot. Another thing is that we're playing in Cleveland, so that there'll be a hostile crowd more than likely. And it's an early game at 10 a.m., so that'll make it tougher on our body clocks to adjust. It's also supposed to be a little bit windy, like 17-ish mile an hour winds and some rain, so that's not going to help. And a big thing is that Jim Schwartz is the Browns defensive coordinator, and Kyle is like 1-8 against Jim Schwartz coach teams. Now, granted, it wasn't with this team that we obviously have. This team is pretty exceptional, but the highest score that Kyle's ever put on Jim Schwartz, and here's Anshul. So let me go ahead and switch up the overlay. Anshul, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Sorry about that. I had a total brain fart, so
That's
I was
okay. It happened to me
totally.
today. In the other way, I had a show go long this morning. I had an 11 o'clock call, and like I have to be there by 11:15 at the latest. And like 11:14, I got the thing on my phone. I was like, okay, bye guys, gotta go. See ya. These things happen. Don't feel bad, Anshul. It's, I always say real life first. So if things come up or just, brain fart, whatever, no big deal. Just glad that you're here now. So Alex Simpson was saying that there's a big watch party in the UK. Joe Staley's hosting it.
Oh wow.
And so they're hoping for a 50 burger out of the Niners against Cleveland. And I was explaining the reasons why I thought that was unlikely. One being the Cleveland D, two being, the early game, 10 a.m. East Coast. Three was the weather. It's supposed to be a little blustery. I wouldn't say windy, but breezy, and some rain, which definitely doesn't help scoring usually. And the big part to me was Jim Schwartz, who Kyle's like 1-8 against, and I was just getting to Kyle Shanahan offense has never scored more than 23 points against a Jim Schwartz defense. So I think we might do that, but I've been saying kind of like, I don't know, to jump ahead to score predictions. It's not really in the show to do that, but it's kind of coming up. So I've been saying like I could see like 24-13 or 24-10. It's crazy how the point spread has gone. It started out at 5.5, and then yesterday it jumped to 7, and now it's like at 9.5. Well, I guess it's not that crazy because yesterday was the Deshaun Watson news, so that could easily be a 2-3 point swing, losing a good quarterback like that. But welcome. Let me get your banner going here again. I had it going to start the show, but you weren't here. Luckily, I did not stop streaming to your channels. I was like, if you're not here soon, I might cut those off. But glad you're here. We got some people in your channel. Real quick, let's just go through. So we got, I probably won't show all the tweets I already showed, but Red Jet Shell's here. John Lajoie is in your channel. James Dernal is here from across the pond. Alex Simpson across the pond. Jimmy Perez, Nancy Cameron, Danielle Thompson. And I just showed Alex Simpson. So I'll start showing some more. If you want to talk about how you've been, anything you got going on that you want to promote, anything I may have missed. Obviously, Anshul is the Shah Show, at the Shah Show on Twitter X, and the Shah Show on YouTube. And let anybody know what I may have missed or what you want to promote going on.
Yeah, appreciate you for having me. But yeah, I will actually be doing a Warriors play-by-play tonight as it's the second preseason game. Wasn't able to do it for the first one, but I will be doing that for today. And then Sunday, I'll be going back to the play-by-play as well for the Niners. Wasn't able to do that last week, too. But yeah,
Cool.
that's
Who are the
basically
Warriors playing tonight?
It's the Lakers again,
Oh, wow.
but this time in LA.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that's cool. Always Lakers Warriors is always good stuff. Always good drama with LeBron and Steph. And right now, was Draymond out last week
Yeah, I
he
think
had a
he's
sprained
probably
ankle?
gonna be like out probably a while. I don't know. I don't think he'll play at all in preseason, and he might miss like the first couple games. But there's not really a like word on it. I think it's just like take their time and they said that they were gonna like reevaluate him after 2 weeks.
Okay. All right.
Should
And
be soon.
since we didn't get to meet backstage before the show, how are you on time today as far as
I don't have any restrictions with the time, so
okay. I typically have my ball in with Bash and Ted at 3,
okay.
but Bash had told me that we may not be able to go live today, so I'm sort of waiting to hear an update from him. I've got the show made, and I may try and promote it some while we're doing this show if it
Okay.
comes through.
No
But so far, I
worries.
haven't heard anything about that, so that would be my only thing.
Okay.
But easily, hour 15, hour 30 should be no problem. So good. We also got Bryant Culp in the house saying, "Hey
So
Ted,"
Bryant,
saying, "Are you doing Q&A?" Absolutely, always for you, buddy. If you have questions, ask away. The worst I can do is not answer it, but most likely we'll at least give it our best shot, right?
yep.
250 miles for a watch party. I'm out. I guess so. James must be in northern England then, I guess. So that is a little bit of a haul. That would be about 4 hours here in the States, 5 hours. And in the UK, I imagine it might take longer to travel that much distance. Bryant Culp is saying, please. Yeah, we got it. Brocktober. Yeah, I saw that picture you posted in our chat group. I
I've been
immediately,
saying Brockstar now.
Brockstar, Brocktober, rock out with your Brock out. It's all good stuff. Alex says they do move James Best to hop on the 49ers 50 UK page, had a few in Leeds last season. So maybe that's closer to James Dernal. Because I'll keep my eyes open for that. That's good. Yeah, it's always fun to meet up with people. I got a chance to meet some folks on Saturday. Breezy and John Chapman were in town before the Cowboys game, and Breezy was filming a music video, and he had to meet up at the Debo mural in San Jose. And then we popped over to Levi's for a little bit too. And so I already knew Breezy or had met Breezy and John Chapman at a camp this summer. But Mose was there. I got to meet him for the first time. I got to meet Terradome for the first time, which is really fun because we've had so much beef on here. All in good nature, not like
Yeah.
beef with me and Larry, but like just friendly beef with Terradome. I bet it's all the same stuff. It's around Brock Purdy and me being wrong. So I've done my I'm wrong apology tour this week quite a bit. The one thing I will say about me being wrong was, yes, I was wrong, but it's more like he made me wrong recently because Brock's been playing out of his mind for the last 2.3 games. The end of the Giants game, the Cards game, and the Cowboys game are unlike anything we've seen from him. So I will defend myself a little bit there. But again, I don't want to put too many qualifiers on it because Brock's playing incredible, and I think he's a franchise QB now squarely. I had him, over the summer, 14 to 18, so 16 is in the middle of that. Then after the Giants game, I said 11 to 15. Then after the Cards game, I said 8 to 12. Now I'm at 6 to 9. Where do you rank quarterbacks at all, Anshul? Where do you have Brock Purdy at this time?
Um, right now, probably like top 15 for sure. But it's just such a small sample size that it's like hard to say, you know. I would definitely say I'd like have a proper ranking, I'd say at the end of the season. Um, but like I said, he hasn't played a whole season yet, so
Yeah, there you go. Brent Culp says that the Browns are a team that has shut us out in our franchise's history. I think he's going back to like some championship from the 40s or 50s. Bryant is digging up super old stuff, but tell us the details on that, Bryant. Fill us in exactly because I don't want to butcher it or spread bad info if that was the wrong info. James says, will Randy be a heavy rotation or will he take a majority of the snaps? I don't know what we're getting for Randy. I would have been on the market for a right lineman or a CB. So that's a good subject that we'll get to whenever you want. I mean, but I guess, I was saying earlier that, it's Brocktober,
mhm.
that Halloween has extra significance this year because of the trade deadline. So these are some of the, pretty widely agreed upon trade deadline, maybe targets for the 49ers, cornerback, right tackle, maybe right guard, but right side of the O line. D end, if Randy Gregory isn't the guy, then D end might still be on the table. And there's one more, and remind me to bring it up that Ryan Hensley brought up with me yesterday on the show. But let's start with Randy Gregory. How you feel about Randy Gregory, Anshul?
I honestly loved the move when I saw that we got him. I know he hasn't been as productive. His Cowboys days were definitely his stronger like seasons, especially in terms of sacks, because his career high is 6 sacks, I believe. But really, I mean, we have the best defensive line coach in the NFL, so I think we could get some good production out of him. I see him as a rotation piece. I don't think he's going to be starting, but the Niners can never have too many pass rushers. And going into this offseason, I always thought they needed to go after another edge rusher. I wasn't saying, oh, it needed to be this big name guy. It's just I wanted some more better depth just because I didn't really feel too great about it. And so the Niners went out there, a few weeks into the season and did that. They didn't give up anything. So, like you were saying, Ted, if he doesn't work out, it's fine. If I'm totally wrong and he just doesn't work out, so what? We gave up basically nothing for him. But I think he's going to be a pretty solid rotation guy. And I do think he's better than the guys we had. Otherwise, I don't think we even make the move, right? So,
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, basically we gave up a sixth and get the Broncos seventh. If we're picking at the end of the sixth and the Broncos are tanking like we think they are for Caleb, it might only be one spot we gave up. And I think a realistic number would be like a handful if we're not quite at the end of the sixth round and they're not quite at the beginning. I can't imagine being much more than 5 spots we gave up to get him. So that's almost nothing. And then, you got the 800K vet minimum salary this year for Randy Gregory and no guaranteed money moving
yep.
forward. But if he does play well, we do have him under contract. So we do have a set number already in place where we don't have to worry about him, getting shipped off to another team like probably would happen with Kinlaw. If he keeps playing well, we'll probably lose him. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's better than Kerry Hyder
Yep.
and
Definitely.
maybe better than Cleveland Farrell. I doubt he's better than Drake Jackson, but good depth and he's long pause and he's bendy. He gets good pressures and he gets a lot. Even though he doesn't get a lot of sacks, he tends to get a lot of strips the ball pretty well. So some good things to see there from him. So yeah, I mean, I'm not like wild over the moon about him. I think we still might go for a legit edge player at some point. But yeah, that's maybe not the highest on my list, especially anymore. A corner might be up there. Like edge is probably up there. Right tackle or right guard is kind of up there, the right side of the line. And Ryan Hensley brought up a good one the other day, which was, a dual threat tight end could help a right tackle as well too. So, and I've been wanting one of those since the 2020 draft. We got Victoria Hazelrig in the house. That's actually my mom, and Poppy is my dad. So mom and dad are watching the show. That's awesome. Thanks for joining, guys, and thanks for entering the chat. Nancy Cameron was saying, "What's up with Draymond? He sprained his ankle a week or two ago, Nancy, and so he's been out. I think it's just there. If if it was an important game, he could probably play, but preseason, no point in risking further injury on putting him out there. Was probably the thought we would think." Got 49ers Ultimate Report. John Jay in the house. He's saying, "What's up,
John
Shaw?"
Jay?
Coming to you from Anshul's channel. We love that. Randy Daytona in the house. He says, "We just signed Champ Bailey. He was staying limber this whole time." Champ Bailey would be awesome back in the day, but he's been gone for a while. I don't think he's going to help.
Come on,
anybody.
Randy. If you're gonna tell us that we signed someone, at least tell us someone that's actually still in the league, because maybe we'll actually believe you. You know.
Nancy Cameron saying hi. She's a friend of the family as well too. I don't want to go too much into like personal relationships and how we all know each other, but just definitely an old friend of the family for sure. Red Jet Shell saying, "Hey to Randy Daytona. That's why I like you, Ted. Happy to see when you're wrong, unlike my wife." So Silly Fun Guy is not necessarily here yet, but he likes to tell a lot of good dad jokes. It reminds me of a good one. A guy walks into a steakhouse and the waiter asks him, "How would you like your steak prepared, sir?" And he says, "I like my steak just like winning an argument with my wife." And the server says, "All right, rare it is." so there you go. That's one in honor of Silly Fun Guy. He's a Rams fan, but he always tells a good dad joke when he joins the chat. Not Champ Bailey, laughing my A off. I love it. Red Jet. Jimmy is 55 and 23, including the playoffs. All right, Randy, enough with the Jimmy tour. He's gone. He's leading the league in
He's gone. We don't need
interceptions.
to talk about him. Come
We
on.
don't. We don't. All he does is win, but he's 2-3. So I don't know. Does all he does is win? I don't know. Some of that was us. But hey, I love it that you stand by your man, as they say. So Lord knows, I would still be rooting for Trey if he wasn't a Cowboy, but since he's a Cowboy, that's a deal breaker. Cannot root for the Dallas Cowboys under any circumstances. Randy Tona says, "Oh, this is a Red Jet. Say what you will, but I can round up your win-loss record at 60 and 20. I give respect." All right, so now he's rounding up the wins and rounding down the losses, but that's fine, Randy. I love it. Go for it. When I can exaggerate and still be close, pretty remarkable. No, it is, but I mean, Purdy's like 12-0 in games that he's finished, so I'd say that's a little better than even 60 and 20. 12/01/74. The Browns shut us out. Oh, okay. So it was December 1st, 1974. That was before I became a 49ers fan in 76. So that's a little before my time of and also what was before my time was the Cowboys bouncing us from the playoffs three years in a row. I think in 70, 71, and 72. I was just born in 70, so not a football fan yet. Unlike some people who say they come out of the womb as Niners fans, it took me a few years of growing up first. I got BT 2022 in the house saying hello, welcome. Brian says 0-7. So the Browns scored 7 and shut us out. Wow, sounds like a really exciting game.
Defense. That sounds like a Madden game where just somebody.
You have no QBs or something.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying hi to one another. I'm going to try and show all the chats, even if I don't respond to them all. Also, we are streaming to both channels. So if you're on my channel, make sure you hop over to Anshul, to the Shah Show. Give him a like and subscribe. Same thing. If you're on Anshul's channel, give me a like and subscribe. It really helps. Also, if you're on a browser, open up 2 tabs and you can mute one. And that way, Give us all the watch hours, because the subscribers are great, but once you hit a certain number, the thresholds, they don't really do much for you. It's all about the view hours as far as the monetization goes. So also, if you're on a phone, you can use a tablet. So use two devices, whatever you need to do to watch both streams at once. We really appreciate. So thanks in advance for that. Um, so we also got Champ Bailey. I like Bailey. Yeah, he was one of the best when he was at his peak. He was a hell of a player for sure. Yeah, Bailey and Rivas. Yeah, that would be pretty amazing. Two of the best. I mean, why not throw in Dion while we're at it, right? As long as we're Rod Woodson. I mean, there you go. Ray Daytona could literally afford to sleep during the game with them there. Oh, that's funny. Rivas Island. Yeah, he was incredible and physical too. Really great corner. What teams would be in a fire sale on week 7? Any scoops? But I'd love to be on PS2. Um, well, I mean, you just look at the standings, and you've got a bunch of 1-win teams and some. I don't, are there any 0-win teams left? But
Think
and even the
so.
2-win teams, if they keep losing,
Oh,
so
the
you
Panthers are still 1-5. That's right.
so that New England's 1-4, they're likely sellers. Denver, we already know, and we already know they're selling 1-5. The Bengals are 2-3, but I don't think they'll be a seller. Same thing with Cleveland at 2-2. I don't think they'll be a seller. Tennessee 2-3, maybe. I don't think so. So not a lot in the AFC. Um, in the NFC, you got the Giants 1-4. I would imagine they'll be sellers. You got Arizona 1-4. They've already been selling even before the season started. Minnesota 1-4. So maybe Danielle Hunter as a defensive end from the Vikings.
Yeah.
Would be one. Um, the Bears 1-4, although I don't think they're selling just yet. Carolina 0-5 would be another one.
Yeah.
But Brian Burns, that would be nice.
I need to stop thinking about that because the SF49ers always likes to hype Brian Burns up too much.
He's so expensive too, though, so that'd
Yeah.
be a tough
I
one.
mean, because we'd also have to pay him too, right? That Carolina seems like they don't even want to pay him.
Yeah, Alex Simpson says I still can't believe that we haven't picked up Jordan Willis. Yeah, I think there must be something up with him because nobody's picked him up to my knowledge. I think
Yeah, I
he's
would
been a free
think
agent
like at
full
least maybe we
season.
bring him on the practice squad then or something. But
Yeah, I think
you
there's something going on there that we don't know, an injury or some kind of personal issue or character issue. There
know,
must be some reason to explain that because he's got enough talent to be at least, like you said, on a practice squad, if not a 53-man roster somewhere.
thank gosh we don't have Josh Norman.
Oh, that was so terrible in
He
2021.
was
Josh
he was
Norman,
only good for like he'd get some fumbles, but that's otherwise he'd just get burnt.
he was only good compared to Drake Kirkpatrick, who came in and was actually
Oh my
worse.
god.
So you had Josh Norman playing cornerback on the defense, who was a total weak link, and then Tom Compton uh, playing right tackle, who
Okay,
was a
but at
pretty weak
least
link.
he was like
At least he could run block, but he was not a good pass blocker.
yeah.
I mean, not even as good as McGlinchey, I don't think, at pass blocking, which is saying something. Oh, speaking of McGlinchey, did you see the Chris Jones sack where he just ran right over him and sacked Russ last night? Where did you
No,
watch the?
because I'm not really wanting to watch Chiefs games because I'm just kind of tired of them always talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and
Their
showing
defense
her
is
every
looking
like
really
three
good though.
minutes.
Chiefs D is looking legit, like up there with this Browns D, up there with our D. These might be three of the best defenses. The Bills D was in there, but they lost Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano, and Daquan Jones.
Oh,
So
so they
D
lost three
tackle,
guys.
one of the best middle linebackers and one of the best
Yeah.
corners. That's a lot of losses at every level for that Bills D. Otherwise, they'd be maybe my top team in the NFL, or maybe top two with us somewhere in there. Now instead, they're more like 5-6, I think. Willis must have burned some bridges. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He must have done something to upset people, or have some injury that we don't know about. That's hindering him. But I would expect to see him back otherwise at some point on some roster or something. You're certainly welcome, Nancy. Absolutely. Randy's laughing. I guess we could all dream. Just keeps getting better. Yeah, this season it's amazing because the offense was carrying the defense. Then the offense got better in the Cards game, end of the Giants, the Cards, and the Cowboys game, and then in the Cowboys game, the defense really showed up. And now we're just looking like a world beater if we can keep that intensity. I really think this Browns game will be a letdown game because I think they got tired of people saying the Cowboys D is. Maybe they'll get tired of people saying the Browns D is so good, and they'll show that our D is better. I don't know. And clearly, all these players missing for the Browns isn't going to help. Deshaun Watson
Yeah.
was a big blow, but
Biggest
then
key
Batonio and
is
Njoku is even not
can
maybe
we
not bigger, but
contain yeah, can we contain Miles Garrett, which is gonna be the hardest.
and it's not just him too because it's Zadarius Smith, who's a hell of an end on
Oh
the other
yeah.
end, who gave us fits when he was a Green Bay Packer. He had a really good season last year for the Vikings. So Zadarius Smith is a concern, and then Dalvin Tomlinson, who used to be a Viking too.
Yep.
The Browns D line is a lot of retreads from the Vikings D line, and all the Vikings really have left is Danielle Hunter. It seems like so.
The Cleveland Vikings.
There you go. BT says, Alec, the wife is never wrong. That's what they say. Happy wife, happy life. So words to live by. You just changed the name. What did I change it to, Randy? I'm not sure. I missed that. So, um, didn't know it was on another channel. Yeah. So, we're streaming to TED Talks Ball on YouTube, also Hardcore Sports on YouTube, Anshul's Twitter, and Anshul's YouTube, and my Twitter. So five uh, five destinations for this stream. Um, is Predator Watson ducking us? I thought he was good to go. Yes. Danielle was saying that he was cleared to play, and he, I guess, chose not to. I mean, you can't really blame him for not wanting to, not wanting to face the 49ers. This is not an easy task, and not a team a defense that's going to make you look good. So if you're thinking about coming back this week or next week, I think that's probably all you need to say. I think I'll just wait till next week and make sure that you don't do anything to embarrass yourself or make yourself look bad, I guess.
I will say prayers up to David Njoku, the tight end for the Browns.
What happened to him?
He burnt his face because he was like at a fire pit or something.
Oh, geez.
And so that's why he was wearing like a mask like
Last
last
week?
week. Yeah, so he's not playing this
And
week.
that's why he's not playing this week. Interesting. Oh, man, that's such a bummer. You hate to hear stories like that. It reminds me of Jason Pierre-Paul when he was playing with
Mm,
fireworks and blew some of his fingers off one of his hands. Awful, awful fire explosions. Hate to hear that. Very painful and disfiguring. And hopefully he'll be all right in time. So, oh man, I didn't realize that was what I was missing. And then I guess Joel Batonio, their guard, left practice last week on crutches, and he was day to day this week. And then maybe same type thing. Decided, hey, this probably isn't the defense to make my return on, even if he could. I'm not saying he could, but never know. So prayers up to both of them. Hopefully they heal up fast. Dion and Sherman at safety. I don't remember we were thinking that Sherm would
yeah, I
move to
remember
safety. He
that.
never he never really made the move. He went out as a corner. Just kind of interesting. Randy says, good luck with that. We got Melvin McGee says, what's up, Bang Bang Niner Gang? Welcome, Melvin. Thanks for joining.
So Melvin.
Alex looks like sticking his tongue out there. Ted, you got to be like this guy, a true fan. There you go. I think I'm a true fan. I just don't let that get in the way of telling the truth. So I'm a true fan who tells the truth. Whether I love the team like the only team I love, the 49ers, or hate a team like the Cowboys, I will always tell the truth about that team, and I will express respect for teams even if I hate them. If I think they're good, I thought the Cowboys were good going into last week. I'm not thinking that now. They need to get their act together if they want to be considered a contender, or even at this point, maybe even a playoff team. They're going to have to do a lot better than that. Adoree Jackson would be the only corner worth a damn in the fire sale. Yeah, I like Adoree Jackson. And he also got injured in about the second quarter against us when we played the Giants in our home opener Thursday night a couple weeks back. He's good. Dexter Lawrence is a really good player, a defensive tackle. I doubt we could afford him. But there was a stat that I pulled off of the Thursday night broadcast last night. I took a picture of the screen and posted it because not really because of Dexter Lawrence, but he is on there, but because Hargrave, at least at that point in the game, was leading the NFL in pressures as a defensive tackle with 85 this season. I guess it says since 2022. So it
I
wasn't
was
just,
like, yeah, because I know he had 61 or something last year with the Eagles, I believe.
yeah. So then that means he's at 24 this season.
I
Chris
was like,
Jones was at
85 this
82,
season.
but it was notable that Chris Jones missed week one. So he might have caught
Yeah.
up last night, or even because after this stat was flashed, or he might have caught up more if he had played week one against the Lions. Dexter Lawrence is at 79, so six back of Javon Hargrave. And then the one I loved was DeForest Buckner at 76. You know, anybody hoping that Javon Hargrave is the replacement for Buckner, at least in the pass rush perspective, if not the run game. He's got a 9 pressure edge over DeForest Buckner, and then tied with DeForest Buckner at 76 is Quinnen Williams, who's a hell of a defensive tackle for the Jets. So Dexter Lawrence would be another one I would want to get from the Giants, but I don't think we could afford him with Armstead and Hargrave and Bosa. I think we've pretty much maxed out on what we can pay for big D linemen. Speaking of D linemen, here's another one. Frank Clark will be a Seahawk or Cowboy by the weekend, I'm sure. Yeah, the Broncos redid his deal to make him very tradable. So expect that to happen soon.
Then he got released today, I believe.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes they announce that release. They say
Yeah,
he's
I
going
know,
to
and then it's
be,
not actually official because
and then
that's the
teams that
same
are high up on
thing.
the waiver wire are like, oh, well, we better trade for him now because all these other teams that are ahead of us on the waiver wire will snap him up before we ever get a chance.
That's why I think the Niners went out there and tried to like just
Get
trade whatever for
Randy
Randy
Gregory.
Gregory because there was
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way he was
Yeah,
gonna.
there's no way he would get to us. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly the same situation. So we'll see. You might hear a quick trade coming out for Frank
Mhm.
Clark in the next day or two
Yep.
before that release becomes official. Sugarnaut says Josh taught the rookies the peanut punch. There you go, Josh Norman. He was good at that. Josh Norman,
Yeah, he was good with
he
the
even
forcing
with
the
us, he got
fumbles.
a
Yep.
bunch of those peanut punch. And for those who don't know, that's when a DB is making a tackle and they punch the ball out, or DB or a linebacker, and they punch the ball out of the ball carrier's hands and force a fumble. Peanut Tillman was the originator of that, so that's why it's called the peanut punch. But I heard some content creators calling it the Greenlaw punch because Dre Greenlaw is so good
How
at it
about
now.
the
He's
Fred
kind of
Warner punch? Come on.
taken out. Yeah, well, Fred got one against the Cowboys, but Dre's
Yep.
been doing it. He did it a
Yeah.
bunch last year and some this year too. But yeah, they're all the 49ers are getting pretty good at that. So they're just saying hi. Josh had that down. Yeah, Josh Norman had that down for sure. Not much else by the time he got to us, but hey, guy came back from a barbecue accident. Oh man, that's such a bummer for Njoku. Sorry to hear that. Aren't we glad we didn't end up with Brock Purdy instead of Deshaun? Aren't we glad that we did end up? Aren't we glad we ended up with Brock Purdy instead of Deshaun Jackson? I think he means Watson. Um, yeah, I mean, we almost traded for Deshaun Watson, and then we used the package I think that we offered the Texans for Watson to move up for Trey Lance.
Nope.
And yeah, I mean, we're glad we have Purdy. He's playing great. Like I said, he's clearly a franchise QB. I'm not ready to call him elite yet. That would be top 5. I mean, he definitely has top 5 stats, maybe top 1 stats, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I just like to, try and think of like how many QBs if they were in our system, and not just like for one game in our system, but like if they had played 12 games in our system, like Brock Purdy has, if they could be doing as well or better in our system, I think there's at least 6. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, Herbert are just stone cold. Absolutely, those 4. And then I think Hurts, Tua, um, Lamar, maybe Trevor Lawrence, and then so then you're up to 7, 8 already there, and that's sort of where I'd start to look at Purdy, Goff, Cousins, Dak. I know Dak had a bad game against us, but I think you still got to put him near there. I think he's top 10 ish, if not top 10, top 12, top 15, somewhere in there. But what are your thoughts on that? We kind of talked about it already, but
Yeah, just like I was saying, I'm not really gonna give him a ranking yet until the end of the season.
that's smart. Definitely want to see him against some better defenses.
But he definitely has been playing like a top like 10 quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Couldn't afford, to feed him. Yeah, he's a big boy for sure. Uh, now, so wait a sec. You were just defending Jimmy Garoppolo. Now you're make up your mind, Randy. Make up your mind. Prediction from the reigning champ: 34-10. This will be the week Purdy gets picked. Tip ball, capitalize on short field. Yeah. I mean, the Browns D is legit. We already were just talking about their D line is really good.
Even their corners are pretty solid.
Yeah.
Denzel Ward.
hmm And Martin Everson
Mm.
Jr., I believe. He's a rookie. He's supposed to be
Yeah.
really good. Delpit, their strong safety, was great at LSU. A lot of people thought he'd be a free safety in the NFL, but he's turned to more of like a strong safety, even quasi linebacker. They have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who's a
The linebacker, yep.
super athletic linebacker out of Notre Dame, who only fell because I think it was like I think he had like blood clotting issues or something like that. There was some kind of blood or heart. There was like a heart murmur or something like that. He was supposed to be easy first round pick, and he fell like into the 50s. But another really strong player, Juan Thornhill, is a solid free safety. Came over from the Chiefs. This is arguably the best defense we might face all season, but you got to imagine they're going to get tired if their offense can't move the ball and can't possess the ball against
Yeah,
our.
because the Browns, I believe, are like 30th ranked or even lower than that.
Yeah, and that was with Batonio, and Njoku for part of it before this burn accident. MV Purdy, do you think Purdy can win the MVP?
I
Anshul?
think so too. I know everybody's saying, "Oh, CMC." I mean, I will say, yeah, CMC's definitely in the conversation. I'm not saying he isn't, but just historically speaking, they haven't given it to anybody really else than a quarterback. And I just haven't really seen a quarterback that's played better than him. Like the Chiefs, yeah, they're winning games, but they don't look as good. Like again, I just don't really see anybody in the league right now that's playing close to where Purdy's playing. Maybe if Josh Allen really gets it going, maybe he starts to be in the conversation. But yeah, I think Purdy right now is at the top of that.
I mean, Tua's got to be in there too, then, because
Yeah.
they're
Oh yeah.
outscoring
Yeah.
us.
Two. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. I would just say CMC being in the conversation, I think it does take away from Brock a little bit, unfortunately.
Hmm.
That because he's the only running back in that conversation, and they're on the same team. Um, yeah, I mean, Purdy's played really, really well. I just say it would depend on if they factor in the fact that, also Purdy has arguably the sort of the cushiest QB gig in the NFL. Not to say that any QB gig is cushy, but like I think Brock, Tua, and Jalen Hurts all have really, really good setups to make a quarterback look good. With us, it's weapons, and Kyle with Tua, it's like the most speed in the NFL. With Jalen Hurts, it's also our defense for Brock as well too. And then with Hurts, it's the number one offensive line and really good weapons, just not quite as good of a D as ours. So they all have different trade offs and whatnot. But all three of those guys have it pretty good, I would say. But yeah, I could see Purdy win if he keeps playing like he did for the last 2.3 games. I could see him winning the MVP.
Yep.
He was definitely our MVP versus the Cowboys. So keep that up, and who knows what'll happen, especially if teams keep focusing on CMC to try and take him out, and just say, okay, if people say we're a pick your poison offense, if they're like, okay, we're not going to die by the poison of CMC, then maybe that'll open it up for other poisons to do the trick. So we'll see whether it's Debo or Kittle or Ayuk or Jennings or Juicecheck. We saw all of them against the Cowboys thrive. So Drain says, I love promoting from within as well as adding Rodgers or Brady, as opposed to adding Rodgers or Brady. I was definitely pro Brady for sure for a long time, and now I'm glad we didn't. I mean, I think it's hard to imagine Brady playing any better than Purdy
Yeah.
is right now at age 46. Right? Let's
Mhm.
put that qualifier on it. Um, but yeah, and especially it comes down to that price,
Yeah.
800K. I mean, he's the best value of any NFL QB, and maybe the best value of any professional player in all professional sports. So Alex says, I feel it's okay to say that Purdy is good and better than what we had. It's too early to say Hall of Fame or one of the greatest yet. Yeah, I think that's what we're both
Yeah,
saying
for
the same
sure.
thing. Yeah, I think he's a franchise QB. I think you can say now that we're not looking for a QB anymore. We're not drafting one high. We're not trading for one or anything like that. Like Kyle finally found his guy who makes who he trusts to do exactly what he wants to do and
Yep.
not mess things up. And I said a lot this offseason that Andy Reid was Kyle until Kyle passed on Mahomes, and lately I've been saying maybe Brock is Kyle's Mahomes. I mean, he's not Mahomes, he's not, but he, at least not physically, but mentally, and mechanically, he's awfully good as far as footwork and leadership. And I've said all off season, even when I was getting in trouble for calling him mid, I said he's a mental giant. I just worried about the physical limitations, but starting to look like those may not matter. At least not against the defenses we've played so far. I'll say that.
And I
So
mean, definitely the one thing I will say what I've seen from Brock Purdy this year is like his deep ball accuracy is, I think, definitely better than last year. And that's what's also making it so hard to know what defenses can really do against us because now it's, that just makes the defense think, okay, I can't just be, in the box or looking underneath, bring the safeties underneath. Now they have to actually play farther too. So I think that's what's really good too. And just Brock Purdy being able to, yeah, fit really well in the system and also make plays, extend the plays. He's not a super, crazy athlete. He's not so short, but he's also not that tall. And he's still been looking really, really good. So I
there
think,
you
yeah,
go.
we have
James
our
says,
franchise guy.
sorry, but it's Mahomes. Mahomes without Kelsey is Burrow. Burrow without Chase. Purdy might be a product of his environment, but that environment is full of beasts. Purdy is the dog's bollocks. And that's a good thing. Bollocks is kind of bad, but the dog's bollocks is a good thing in England, according to James. Um, and so, yeah, I quote tweeted something earlier right before we started the show where the NFL Rumors had played a clip of Shannon Sharp saying that Brock Purdy is not elite, but a product of the system. And I just said, Brock may not be elite yet, because that's sort of what I've been saying. I don't have him
Hmm.
as elite yet. But I said, but no other QB has run the system better, not even 2016 Matt Ryan's MVP season. So maybe he is a assistant QB, but he's the best one Kyle's ever had. So that's saying something right there, no doubt about it. And I'm starting to feel like this offense can carry the team, and so then that's not really a system QB at that point. That's at least a franchise QB,
Yep.
if not elite. And so it's kind of interesting for sure. Real quick, just want to do a quick commercial break. I have a new sponsor for the show called TTG, the Travelstead Group. So I'm now officially TTB, brought to you by TTG. They are in retail and hospitality logistics. So they do transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture and equipment. They do OSE, which is operating supplies and equipment. They do new store openings, rollouts, relocations, decommissions. They do from the first mile to the final mile and everywhere in between. Travelstead has you covered. Let us know how we can help via air, ocean, or land. They do closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. So Nick and Henry are the folks I work with there. They're great guys. They have all US based support because in logistics, this complicated stuff, things go wrong. There's fine tuning that needs to be done a lot. And it's good to know when you pick up the phone, if you got an issue, that you're going to talk to people here in the States that know what you and your business do, rather than some call center offshore that may not have a clue about what you're all about. So check them out. Their website the link is in the description for this show. It's in my YouTube About page, my Twitter X bio, also in my Instagram and Facebook. So click the link, check out the video, and be sure you tell them Ted sent you. So thanks in advance. And sorry about that, Anshul. Just got to
Oh, no
pay
worries.
those bills. So it's I'm pretty excited to have a sponsor for the show, and they're great folks that
Congratulations.
easy to work on. Thanks, easy to work with. Um, so let's see here. Where were we?
What's up, Jason?
Maybe I'll scoot to the bottom and come up. So we got Jason, Niners Smash Massey of Niners Faithful Radio. Says Talofa Faithful. He always joins and says that. Says TTG, how can I explain it? Yeah, it's behind the scenes for retail and hospitality. And when you say hospitality, it's basically hotels, right? So stores and hotels need to get things moved and set up and looking nice. It's not just move box from here to point A to point B, but like set things up and make it look presentable so that people will want to buy from you, right? It's important to have that killer presentation. Dogs long, lick them shine up. I don't want shit. That's great. Just going up from the bottom here. Mike was a short king like Brock. Which Mike was that? Oh, Mike Vick. There you go. Did American character issues. Same with Michael Vick. Interesting. So Watson. I was talking about Watson, Michael Vick. I got David McNiner in the house. He
What's
says
up, David
OFG
McNair?
49ers. Here we go against the number one defense again. Going to make look like the number two. Bump. Welcome. And David has his own channel. Make sure you check him out. Great stuff. He was on the show last week with me. So thanks for being my guest. And it was always a lot of fun. He has a great pencil thin goatee, and he does a lot of work with Bryant Culp and Aaron, and they have a show on Monday nights with Aaron and Ty Alston. Great stuff. So check them out. I think it's called Niners Coast to Coast or something along those lines. What else did you want to go over today, Anshul, while we were here together?
I guess we could talk like more about the game.
Yeah,
Um, it's coming up.
yeah. I mean, obviously their defense is something to be reckoned with, but if their offense can't move the ball, they're likely to get tired. I've
Hmm.
been saying we saw it ourselves in the last two NFC Championship games when our defense got tired against the Eagles when we didn't have a quarterback to help move the ball, and against the Rams when we had a quarterback in name, but Jimmy had a hurt shoulder and a hurt thumb, and against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, our D got tired too when we didn't move the ball well in the fourth quarter. So I would expect the same thing to happen to the Browns D if their offense can't score, can't move the ball, can't even give them time to rest.
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely, you know, yeah, this is gonna. I think that the Browns defense will be better. Um, especially after watching what happened last week. I would expect this game to actually be closer this time around. Last week I thought it was going to be close, and clearly it wasn't. So I think it will be close this week. But I think we get the win, and I think it will be better if it's actually close, just because that's going to help us also later down in the season when we do play more of these tougher teams, and just in the playoffs, right? I feel like you don't want always everything to be perfect. You kind of want guys to, you know, have to get deal with some of that, um, tough times. But we haven't also seen Brock like, how he looks when he's down. I don't know if we'll really see that in this game, but yeah, again, I think it's going to be closer. I don't generally give score predictions, um, but it should be a great game. Now, I will say that they are expected to start PJ Walker, which he's a guy who can move outside the pocket. I think he might have some success like Joshua Dobbs did versus us. So hopefully the defense this time, I know we only allowed 16 points versus the Cardinals, but I think that, hopefully we look better with, against PJ Walker.
Yeah, I think PJ Walker might not be as big a step down from what Deshaun Watson's done this year. I mean, I think Deshaun has had at least one good game, but I think overall his overall body of work hasn't been that great this year. So he may not be that big a step down, but they're also missing Nick Chubb.
Hmm.
They do have Kareem Hunt. They do have a guy named Ford, I believe, who is Kenneth Ford, maybe, who is Jerome Ford is their
Yeah.
starting running back. Kareem Hunt was running back too. No Njoku, so uh, that means that they will probably have who do they have? Bryant Harrison, who they drafted a few years back. I don't think he's anything special. Amari Cooper gets good separation. He's legit, but then they just have Donovan People Jones. They have Elijah Moore, who the Jets had high hopes for a few years
Yeah.
back. Some people thought he might be like Debo. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't think he's done anything like that this year, but we'll see. But a really fast guy in the slot is trouble for Isaiah Oliver for sure, as we saw with Turpin when he caught his TD against Isaiah Oliver, the only TD the Cowboys scored against us. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean that kind of brings me back to we were talking about DN maybe as somebody we might pick up at the end of the month. I was thinking, right tackle, right guard are two areas.
I just
Nickel,
think
corner.
with the offensive line, though, it's going to be tough to
It is.
find offensive because even though there's teams that aren't doing as well, like I don't think, those teams would just be giving up.
And even if they're like a better player, they don't have the continuity with our guys
Yep.
in the complex system, and they obviously missed camp and preseason and all that
Hmm.
stuff. So that makes it tough too. So yeah, it might be tough. A tight end too would make some sense, especially one who could block and catch.
Yeah, especially
That
with because of the like rookies being hurt.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, I think Braden Willis, right? I think he's just more of a like
receiver.
developmental type of piece too, because he's been playing like special teams and stuff. So I think, yeah, if I would have to think who possibly it could be, but I definitely could see that. Like, I wouldn't mind if the Niners try to do that. And maybe if they're able, depending on if they do get a tight end, maybe that we can see some 12 personnel, two tight end sets, which would make us even more scarier. Um,
No doubt.
so I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind if they went out and got a tight end if one's available.
and then James Jernal brings up running back. It's like we got CMC. Mason looks good, but Mason's had some fumbling issues. Elijah Mitchell is a really good back and never fumbles, but he's
Hurt.
almost never healthy. And then TDP, I just wouldn't trust him from a skills perspective. Maybe he'll develop, but so far we haven't seen enough from him to be able to count on him if push comes to shove. So I could see a running back too. Probably my list would probably be corner first, right tackle second, but I'm super unrealistic. The right tackle one, right guard would be in there, defensive end, and tight end two, and running back. I think are the ones where we could use some help.
I'm personally actually a little different, but I'd mm, say yeah, like cornerback, tight end two. Mm, And then yeah, I guess yeah, if uh yeah, I guess offensive line, but also that's gonna be so hard to
It would probably be more depth
yeah.
in case someone got injured, in which case you're not going to have the continuity anyway at that point.
But
Somebody
I
mentioned
do
Lyle
like a guy
Collins.
like
Lyle Collins is a free agent, but I
oh,
think he'd be too expensive and
mhm.
too injury prone.
Yeah, but I do like what we actually saw from John Feliciano last week. I thought he actually
Played well.
played well. So
He did play well, no doubt about it.
and I
Um,
guess Banks isn't on the injury report, so that's actually a good thing to uh
that's
talk
huge.
about. Yeah, for
Did you see one from today? Was Greenlaw on it?
so yeah, we can go over this actually real quick. So Niners is Dre Greenlaw and Elijah Mitchell are both questionable. Browns, of course, Watson and Bitonio are out, but actually Njoku, interesting. I thought he was going to be out, but he's questionable. And then their center Ethan Pochik
Pochik. Yeah, he
is
was a
also
former
questionable.
Seahawk
Oh, okay.
for many years. He's questionable.
Yep.
Okay, that would be a huge loss too. You lose your center and your guard. That's most of your interior offense, 2/3 of your interior offensive line. That wouldn't be good. Interesting. Okay, Alec Simpson asking, do you think we'll lose more than 3 games this season? I really can't see it. You
Mm,
first.
let's see. Let me pull up the rest of the schedule. So I mean, Browns. Yeah, that it's definitely a winnable game, but I think it's gonna be a battle. Like you said,
Yeah,
it's going to be a test. Vikings, we should be able to beat.
yeah.
Bengals, it
Especially
kind of,
without Justin Jefferson.
yeah. And Bengals, I mean, that could be a one that could go either way just because, I know the Bengals haven't
Burrow
looked
starting to
as
play better.
good.
Chase
Yeah, but,
just had a 15 catch, like 190-yard, 3 TD game. I forget what it was, something like that, something
yeah.
ridiculous.
So, I mean, I would think that the Bengals probably will get better because they're still obviously a playoff contender.
Yep, I think so
Um,
too.
Jags, I mean, they're young, but yeah, a lot of yeah, I'd say probably 3 to 4 losses still is a possibility.
I think so too. Somebody asked me if I thought we would lose between now and the Eagles, and I said I think 1 game between now and the Eagles because, like you said, we got the Bengals, we got the Jags in Jacksonville, and they just beat the Bills. We got the Bucks, who I don't really believe in them, but their D's good and Baker's playing well. If he can stay healthy, I don't know. They could be trouble. I'll be at that game. And we got the Seahawks in Seattle, which is always a nightmare for us. At least it was
Thanksgiving.
with Russ there. And then the Eagles. So I'm saying 1-2 by then. And then you got the Eagles, you got the Seahawks again. So that's 1 or 2 more probably. And then the Ravens Christmas Day is a big one for me because
Mm,
I still think they're a really good team, especially if they can get some help there, if their wide receivers can start to play better.
yeah.
Um, and we're minus 20 rest days this season, which is worse than the NFL, and they're +9, which is I think fourth. I think there's 3 teams at +12, and right around there is them at +9. So by Christmas Day, when we play them, they'll have had almost 29 more rest days than us in just a little under 4 months. So that's a huge advantage for the Ravens. I don't know if it's enough for them to win, but it's enough for me to call the game into question to where like it's losable, I would say. So and then and then there's, let's face it, there's almost always one that you just don't expect, right? You just like, oh,
Yeah.
no way we'll lose to that team, and oh, we lost, So
Hmm.
yeah, I could see 3 or 4 losses. I mean, I started the season at where was I? I think I was like 11-6 to start the season. Maybe 12-5, and so yeah, I'm thinking 13-4 or 14-3. I think
Yeah, that's where
is
I was like
realistic.
right around 13-4, 14-3 going into the season. So I still think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I just never thought that we'd see
We
Purdy
just need
play
the
this well.
Eagles to lose two because we need to get that number 1 seed.
We do. I brought it up earlier about how a lot of times in the past I've said, "Oh, you know, I'd rather go into the playoffs healthy, rested, and hot than with a higher seed. And there's still some truth to that. I would hope we could get all of it, but ultimately there's some eerie similarities between the only two NFL QBs that have ever had this UCL repair plus internal brace surgery, being Nick Mullins and Brock Purdy. Obviously Brock was at the link. Hassan Reddick came off the right edge. He beat Tyler Croft
Mhm.
and hit Brock's throwing arm as he was coming forward. Same thing with Nick Mullins, except for it was DeMarcus Lawrence coming off the right edge who beat McGlinchey in Jerry's world in Dallas. And when a blocker, like a lineman or a tight end, misses a block or loses, there's like a word they yell like fire, so that the QB knows that their rusher is coming unhindered at that point. So like take a look, like protect yourself type of thing. And in a hostile away environment like that, it makes me wonder if I don't know that they yelled it, but I think that's a very common practice. And if they could even hear it in those environments, and being at Levi's, you would assume that they would be able to hear it. So that's one way we could hopefully avoid having part 3 of that saga, that only Niners QBs have had the UCL repair plus internal brace. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I guess technically Nick Mullins wasn't a Niner by then, but anyway, interesting stuff there. And I hope we can get the home field advantage. It's huge. Not only that, but the bye, right? The bye, because we have our week 9 bye, and then with all these lack of rest days, that's one way to get a whole lot of rest days, is by having a first round bye in the playoffs.
And also, the Niners have played pretty well still on the road in the playoffs and stuff, but just being able to have that, going on the road a lot too, and plus, like you said, not having those rest days in the regular season, like that could put a toll on team too. So being able to get that bye, and at least having your games at home too in the playoffs would help a lot.
Yeah. James Norrell says maybe lose to the Eagles, maybe the Rams at the end after we've already locked up the 1 seed. We will say, all right, we don't need to sweep you for the 5th straight season. Well, so then you'd almost get 2 weeks of rest. You get the Rams game as rest and the bye week as rest. That would be pretty huge too. But then you start to worry about rust versus rest. Like if you rest too long, you get rusty and you get out of game shape. I don't know if 2 weeks is enough to do it, but it starts to be a concern when you're looking at things like that. Seahawks will be tough. Absolutely. They always play us tough. 49ers win 49-3. Bryant Culp, very pessimistic view there. Cheer up, buddy. It's going to be all right. I have a feeling. I think he did say 42-24 Cowboys, and you were just being too optimistic for the Cowboys, Bryant. So good job on getting the 42 right, at least. I remember saying it was Ronnie Lott inverse. That's how, because it's hard to remember all the score predictions of everybody from every show. But Bryant did it a few times, and I remember at one point I was like, oh, hey, that's Ronnie Lott inverse. And so Bryant nailed the 42, so maybe he'll get the 49 right this week. We'll see. Pause. It's kind of low, Bryant. Oh, Randy's thinking, that you cheer up. Give us a better score. With the cowboy hat, love it. They're missing an O lineman too. Yeah, Joel Batonio, who's I think an All Pro or at least Pro Bowl
I think so, yeah.
guard. He's very. I mean, the Browns have one of the better offensive lines in football. Typically, I
Yep.
mean, not like with the Eagles and Lions, and I thought the Cowboys, but I don't know. Cowboys are starting to prove me wrong there, but they're definitely in that upper tiers, top 5, top 10. Nice hat for the Cowboy. Left side Stevo, and that was Stevo's Customs. Also, just so you know, he does custom sneakers. So check him out on he's Stevo's Customs on Twitter X too. If you want to DM him about getting some custom sneakers work done, he's a good guy. Guard, I think. Yeah, that's Batonio. But then now it sounds like center too. We sent heavy blitz on the Turpin TD. I'm not mad at Oliver for that. No, it's just Oliver doesn't cover fast slot receivers well. And it's
I mean,
not that
I
was
think we definitely CeeDee Lamb is in the slot too a lot of times for the Cowboys, and I mean we did a pretty good job with him. So
There you go. The Bears cut PJ Walker to keep Nathan Peterman and Tyler Badgett. Bears been known to make mistakes though. Absolutely, they have like drafting. Uh, uh, I'm blanking on his name now. Ahead of Solomon Thomas.
Oh, Trubisky.
Mitch,
Yeah, Mitchell
Money
Trubisky.
Mitch, Trubisky. Yes, exactly.
We only have Money Mitch. The
Sometimes
Chef.
sometimes teams keep backup QBs who fit the scheme better
Yep.
than necessarily the better, player. Like for instance, I had an Eagles content creator on yesterday morning, and they were saying that they didn't like Mariota instead of, they used to have Minshew, Gardner Minshew, Mustache Mania, who's now with the Colts and doing well for them, while Anthony Richardson's been out. And he was saying basically like, but he understands that Mariota's closer to Hurts, so you don't have to alter the offense so much when he comes in. I don't know that Peterman is more like Fields, but that could be part of it. It may not be that Peterman's necessarily better than PJ Walker. He just might be a better fit, because that happens sometimes with
I
backup
mean, yeah, the
QBs.
Eagles quarterback
I
three
mean,
is not a
let,
like
let,
type
let's
of.
be honest. Some people have said that's why we kept Sam Darnold over Trey Lance,
Hmm.
because there's no way in hell you're telling me Sam Darnold's a better quarterback than Trey Lance. Not based on what I saw in camp at the 9 practices I went to. Lance was the best QB, and I get it. Brock was coming back from the surgery, and I can understand Kyle installing him based on what he did last year, and obviously what we've seen this year.
Hmm.
I just thought it was too soon to ship him off, but I'll say I was wrong there too, because I did always say once you decide on one, you got to ship the other one off. It's just I thought it was too soon to decide based on what we had seen from Purdy since the surgery, but now what we've seen from him in the last 2.3 games, clearly he's the man. And I just hope we never have to rely on Sam Darnold, because I don't trust him to get it done. So
Yeah, hopefully not.
30th matchup for these legendary franchises. What's the score breakdown, Bryant? How are we doing against the Browns all time?
I know last time we crushed them, didn't we? Like at Levi's in 2019.
Yeah, we did. That was
I was
when
actually at that game.
Breida had the long breakaway TD, and Bosa had a few sacks on Baker, and he
Sherman had the pick, and then
planted the
K1
flag.
Williams had the tip pick.
Said, Baker, you good? so, so classic. So great.
It's not so
19 and
much of
10 Niners.
Bosa.
Gonna start stacking the wins. There you go. Love it. Um, there we go. Make it 20 to 10. Like it. I think I'll be a swell GM. There you go, Randy. You maybe found your calling. It's just most people don't start you out at GM. That's the trick. You got to start at like quality control, or like, help out with DBs, or, you know, pretty far down the list, scouting, and then you work your way up ever so slowly. Unless you're John Lynch and you're a Hall of Fame safety and a great broadcaster, sometimes they'll let you start out at GM, but that's the exception rather than the rule. And let's face it, he's not really the GM anyway, like a traditional GM. Kyle is the GM, and Adam Peters is the GM, and John Lynch like shakes hands and kisses babies, and keeps the relationship good with Uncle Jetty. But he's not there to be the greatest GM for picking players, I would say. I mean, really, Kyle has final authority on all that, and that's written into his contract. Last time I saw Cleveland, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was a Monday night game too.
Yep. It was
Another
around this
monsoon.
time too, I believe, actually.
No monsoons. We're done with that after the Colts game and the Bears game, and the Commanders game, or I guess they were still called the Redskins back then. Um, yeah, no more monsoons, please. Well, my understanding is that Brock's a pretty good wet weather player. I don't think we've seen a ton of it yet, but I think at
Yeah.
Iowa State he played pretty well in rain games.
Mhm.
Bosa versus Baker 2019. Yeah, that's why last season when the Rams snaked us and they got Baker, I was like, oh, they were keeping us from getting Baker. But I was like, can you imagine our locker room if Baker and Bosa were in there together? That would be
Gosh, that'd be
so entertaining.
interesting.
Nancy says 38-13 Niners. Aggressive. Almost 40. I don't know if you missed the part where I said Kyle's never scored more than 23 on this defensive coordinator, and now I'm blanking on his name, of course. Jim, he used to be the Detroit Lions head coach when Harbaugh gave him the slap. Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz. That's his name. So Kyle's never scored more than 23 points on Jim Schwartz. So anything above that would be a record for us. And Kyle's 1-8 versus him too. So just one more reason why I'm saying this could be a little bit of a letdown game, folks. Flag planting, yeah, that was so good. There you go. Yeah. Banks was limited in practice. That's a good sign.
Yep.
Although I'd say don't rush him back. I'd say if anything, err on the side of caution. Have him suit, but maybe don't have him
They said
start.
he was full participant today, actually.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, he was limited. Didn't practice Wednesday. Was limited yesterday, and then full participant today.
Why we are where we are, folks. No meaningful injuries. Yeah, that's huge. Let's hope that keeps up. Always been our Achilles heel.
Gotta
Oh, the
knock on
pun.
wood.
Pun intended by Randy there.
Gotta
No, it has
knock on
been.
wood.
We've led the league in injuries since Kyle got here, especially 2020, where we had the worst injuries of any team since 2012.
We had like
We had
100 mil or something. I
100
remember.
mil on IR, and
Yeah.
that's when the salary cap was only like 160 or 170 back then. Now we're up to like 225. So
Mm.
100 mil back then was a much bigger percentage of your salary cap. It was the highest percentage ever of a salary cap that had ever been
Oh
on
yeah.
IR. So that was crazy stuff. And we still almost made the playoffs. I mean, if Jimmy had actually come back and played when he could have, yeah, we might have actually made the playoffs. But I think he and everybody knew even if we made the playoffs, we weren't going to make any noise with that banged up squad. So yeah, it's still frustrating. So I think where a lot of people fell in love with Jimmy. I wish I had right then. I waited till the next season, week 3, Green Bay, 2021. That's when I was like, no mas, put in Trey Lance. I'm ready for the Trey Lance experience. I think our best season can easily be 13-4. Yeah, it can
Yeah.
be, no doubt. I mean, we were 13-3 in 2019, so 13-4 actually wouldn't be the best season under Kyle, percentage wise. Same wins, but one more loss. Yes, I think we got to go 14-3 to make it the best. But let's not worry about that. Let's do 1 week at a time
Yep.
and not get too ahead of
Exactly.
ourselves. There you go. 14 are undefeated. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind 20-0 and take 6. I don't think anybody minds that. I hope we do kind of push them in though, and really make another big move, whether it's corner, whether it's right tackle, whether it's defensive end, or all the above, or tight end 2, or running back. Love to see just a little bit more to help. Do what the Rams did. Like, hey, we're doing well, and let's like see if we can do better, because it's hard to win the Super Bowl, and we can't count on these injuries staying so good the rest of the season. You got to have depth, and you got to have the ability to have great players, which we have right now, and hopefully they'll continue. We need to keep them in the picture while preparing everyone before them. Yeah, exactly. Can't overlook anyone. Nancy says, Ted, you know your stuff. Thanks. Have a good weekend. Thanks, Nancy. Appreciate you being here. Have a great weekend. TGI Friday. Actually, that reminds me, it's 2:30. Let me just check and see if I've heard from Bash at all. Nope, no update. All right. Well, probably no 3 p.m. show with Bashar. Was there more stuff that I'm missing that you wanted to? Rams are preparing for our next meeting. You know this. Yeah, but that's not till week
Um,
18. So
yeah, I think we kind of went over all of it. So,
they got Cooper Cup back. The Rams did,
yep.
and made a pretty good game versus the Eagles. I just think I said before they got him back, I didn't think he was going to make that big of a difference because Puka Nakua had done such a good job in his
Mhm.
absence, and it's not like they really have 2 slot receivers in that offense. So it's not him being back wasn't as big of a deal as it would have been if they hadn't had Puka Nakua in his absence, and that's sort of the way it seemed. We'll see, I guess. I mean, he's obviously a great receiver, but like I said, McVay's system sort of favors that position, whoever's in it. It seems like.
Yep.
Well, cool. We've been going for an hour 20, so Maybe a good time to sort of. Steve says we're going to steamroll the Eagles. I don't know about that.
I'm worrying
That'll be a
about the
real big
Eagles
test.
once we get to the Eagles.
Yeah, we'll see how they're playing at that
Yeah.
point. I think people underestimate the Niners. Yeah, I think so. I think they're starting not to though. I think people are starting. I mean,
Yeah.
I think people are starting to see what we're doing, especially after the more we play on national TV, the less of a mystery it will be. Carolina correct leaders to the Super Bowl. Towards owner Colorado ligament right elbow suffered a hole in his flexor pronator. So that was Jake Delhomme. He had full Tommy John surgery though, and he played a little bit afterwards, but it wasn't a repair plus internal brace. It was the full replacement reconstruction surgery, Tommy John surgery for Jake Delhomme. So that's why I didn't list him with Mullins and Brock Purdy. That's a little bit different type of surgery. It's going to leave a mark. Yeah. So I'll just say thank you to everyone who came out. Oh, wait, we got Shardal in the house. Got to say hi to Shardal Gupta. Welcome, Shardal. Everyone, make sure you check out his channel.
Peace.
Um,
So,
and anyone else here that I missed? Stevo Supremo in the house, along with Stevo's Customs. He's saying 2313. We got Don't Bother Me in the house. That's Steven. Met him on Saturday at that music shoot with Breezy and John Chapman. Met Mose, met Terradome. That was a lot of fun. I might have talked about that before you got here. Uh, no, I think you were here, Anshul. But Steven's
yeah, you
awesome.
talked about it right when I joined.
Cool. And then what else? We already saw David McNiner. Man, the chat is popping. Hate to leave when it's going so well, but it has been a while, and I had a monster show earlier, over 2 hours, with Chris Polo. So, Anshul, thanks for coming out. Make sure everybody follows Anshul at the Shah Show on Twitter and X, and then the Shah Show um, on YouTube. The link is right in the description for the show, so just click the link, hit like, hit subscribe. It really helps us out. And what else you got? You got anything else going on this week? Oh, you mentioned you got the Warriors tonight.
Yes, I will be back. I will be live tonight, few minutes before the Warriors preseason game.
And for me, just keep an eye on the community tab. I post shows that I'm doing in there. We'll see if Bash can do something. Also, even if Bash isn't ready at 3, I think I could go live as late as 4 and still make that work. So maybe that's what we'll do. And then I've been in contact with a big Browns content creator. We haven't locked anything down, but he said he's available tomorrow, which is tough for me because I'm usually on daddy duty. But my wife sometimes will make exceptions for really big VIP type guests. So I might be doing a surprise show with the Browns content creator tomorrow. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But Anshul, thanks for coming out today. I appreciate it as always. And I'll just say peace and go Niners.
Purdy for MVP.
Herd MVP.